Hello everyone. This is a multi-user custom GPT connected with NextJS14 frontend. So if I ask the GPT to get my to-do list, the GPT is firstly going to authenticate and sign in and then retrieve my to-dos from the backend. So here, as I click on the sign in button, I am redirected back to my website. And once I logged in, after successful authentication, I'll be redirected back with a temporary token that the GPT will use to get the access token and refresh tokens. So here we are logged in and the GPT has started the action to retrieve all my to-dos. So here we can sign in using the same account and check out the to-dos and verify that we are getting the same results. So yeah, here we have got unit tests and likewise the same here. But that's not all. If you are using it at mobile, you can perform these all operations while talking with the GPT. So let's ask the GPT, add a new tasks to develop e-commerce store. The GPT can even add all tasks, manage them, mark them as complete, and delete them. So currently, we don't have any tasks to develop e-commerce store. And now it's been added. So let's just refresh and verify it. And yeah, here is the task. So if I ask the GPT to mark it as completed, the GPT can even perform this put operation and marks the task as completed. So let's verify it once the action is completed. Yeah, and here we go. Now it's marked as completed. And now let's remove it. And once the task is removed, then let's walk through the code. And after walking through the code, we can check out how this GPT is configured and how the auth is working here. All right. So let's just refresh it. And here we go. We don't have the task anymore. Now let's walk through the code and see how it's all working. Here we have a simple NextJS14 project and it is deployed on Vercel. Now within this API route, we have created the complete FastAPI microservice. So to integrate FastAPI with NextJS14, we just have to rewrite the request. So you can check it out. The code is fully open source. And once we make a request from frontend, all those requests are redirected to these FastAPI API routes. This index.py is our starting file for the FastAPI. So here we are just initializing the FastAPI and then here are our routes. So as you can see, this is a completely layered development. Here we have got our data layer where we are performing all data related operations. Next, we have got our service layer. Service layer communicates with the web layer and the data layer. So here our web layer is present with the index.py file since it's a small project. And then here we have also got all the tests. So this is a complete testing development suite as well. These are our end-to-end tests. These are our integration tests, and these are our unit tests. And even within the unit test, we have got the separate test for each layer. So these are the tests for data layer, for to-do script, and for authentication. The same for service layer, and the same for web layer. Now let's review the index.tspy file. So here we have got the first route. That's a simple login route. We send the request to backend. All the requests are validated using pydantic models since we are using fast API, and then we call the service layer to perform all the operations. The next one is our token route. So this route is used by both frontend as well as ChatGPT to get the access tokens and manage the refresh tokens. So if our access token is expired, GPT can use refresh tokens to make another request and get the refreshed access token and rotated refresh tokens. And if the refresh token have expired, then we simply return a 401 response. So the GPT can sign out and ask to log in again. The same logic is implemented in our Next.js frontend. Next, this is our temporary code route. So we send this code. This is a temporary code that GPT uses to authenticate. So this is part of the auth code sort that we are using. Next, we have got our to-do routes. So this is a complete to-do grid. We are simply retrieving the to-dos and these are the paginated data. This we don't want to increase the load and make increase latency time. Next, can get single to-dos. We can create new to-dos, update them, and delete them. So apart from this API route, this is our actions route. So we are using server actions for all the user interaction on front end. And here each route is making request to the FastAPI backend. So this is our update, register, logout, login, and all the other routes. You can check out the open source code. And for the user management on NextJS14, have created our custom management. Initially, I have integrated Nextauth, but now I have removed it because I wanted to have more control over the authentication as I continue developing it. Next, within our app route, we have got this protected route where this is the dashboard that you have just seen. And here we have got our authentication routes and the simple route. And you can check it out. The project is completely open source. The middle source is used to perform the refresh token request and manage the routes as well. So now let's review how the GPT is configured. So yeah, before that, let's also look at our routes. So this is the automatic documentation generated by FastAPI. These are our authentication routes, and these are our to-do CRUD routes. And if we want to review the schema or open a spec, it is also automatically generated. So this is what we have used to configure the GPT. Now, if we come back to GPT and click on Edit GPT, so here simply we have named our GPT, added description, some instructions, some starting points, and here we have configured an action. So in this action here, I have just provided the complete open spec that is generated by FastAPI. And these are automatically generated routes. So these are all the actions that a GPT can perform. And these are the same ones that we have just reviewed here within our OpenAI Swagger auto-generated docs. And this is the most important part. So how is the auth configured here? So here I have provided with two routes. The first is authorization URL. Whenever we ask GPT something, the GPT checks if it has a valid access token. If access token is not valid and we have refresh token, GPT can make a request to get the fresh access token. But if that fails or if we are not logged in, then the GPT is going to use this route to make request to our frontend, ask the user to log in, and then in response, we are going to use that temporary route that we have seen here to generate a temporary token and send it to GPT. Then the GPT will make request to this route, this API route with that temporary access token or temporary doc code and get the tokens and store them. So this is completely secure and we are sure that, yeah. So next, let's just review how the authentication is working before we leave it. So here, what happens is that GPT first makes request to our front end, we log in and send back this temporary code after retrieving it from the backend. Once this is completed, then GPT directly makes request to the backend. And using that token, GPT get back the access token, token type, token, and expiry time. And once this is completed, then the GPT is completely authenticated and GPT can perform all the operations. And if any time or whenever this expiry time is completes, then the GPT is going to use this refresh token if it is present to again make the refresh request using the refresh grant and get the refreshed access token and refresh token as well. So yeah, here we are rotating the refresh token as well. And if the refresh token has expired, then we simply log out. The same thing is configured here. We can initially make request using login or sign up if we are registering for the first time. And after that, whenever our access token expires, we can renew our access token using this refresh token grant. And if the refresh token has expired, then we simply log out. So the code is fully open source. You can clone it and check it out. Here I have also added on instructions to configure it locally. And if you want, you can also easily deploy it on Vercel. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. I am excited to hear back from you what you think about it and how we can improve it. So that's it for this time and bye bye.